is fast fashion?
No clue.
Like it's like the trendy clothing that everyone wants.
I have no idea.
Children being put to work for fashion.
I've heard the term before, but I don't really know too much in depth with it.
Fashion brands. No idea.
Fast fashion is defined as inexpensive clothing produced rapidly by mass market retailers in response to the latest trends. In the United States, fast fashion is a dominating force in the clothing industry. Large companies produce clothing at an extreme rate without regard for the consequences that come after.
My name is Kristen Love, and I am a senior designer for InMotion that works with Target, designing all of their swimsuits. Whether you feel it's fashionable or not, Target is considered fast fashion. They provide a lot of clothing options at very inexpensive prices, and going along with that, just the pure scale of like fabric that they're creating and putting that out in the world, and
The global fashion industry is generating a lot of greenhouse gases due to the energy used during its production, manufacturing, and transportation of the millions of garments produced each year.
Most of their product is manufactured in Asia, so just bringing like the carbon footprint of bringing all of that product from Asia to the United States, and then distributing it out within the United States, that has a big impact.
Many of these large companies only focus on reducing spending in order to maximize profits, rather than focusing on keeping the environment healthy. The greenhouse gas emissions released due to the textile manufacturing these companies undergo will become a problem in the future if nothing is done. Fast fashion not only produces greenhouse gases, but also creates microplastics that are polluting the ocean. Every time we wash a synthetic garment, about 1,900 individual microfibers are released into the water, introducing plastic into our food chain.
As we move up a food chain, smaller species are eaten by larger species and the volume of contaminants increases. Zooplankton may ingest just a few tiny pieces of plastic, but a small fish, like an anchovy, will eat hundreds of zooplankton, meaning that one fish could then contain potentially hundreds of those tiny pieces of microplastic. Further up the food chain, with larger species like humpback whales potentially eating over a ton of fish a day, the volume of plastic they consume becomes even larger. While some of this plastic will likely be excreted, in theory it means animals at the top of the chain could be the most severely affected.
The plastic these companies are releasing into the water have very deadly side effects on the wildlife living there. Thousands of small microorganisms are ingesting these microfibers, which is causing larger animals to also consume this plastic. Although the United States practices ethical fast fashion, other countries such as China use different methods to lower the cost of production further. Underpaid and underage workers are commonplace in China, and they use these workers in order to produce a product at a much cheaper price. An article by China.org states, with a monthly salary of less than 2,000 yen or 290 USD, the underage migrants work at least 28 days a month from 7 a.m. to midnight. The average American worker makes about $35,977 per year, just to put this little amount into perspective. However, the dangerous byproducts of both these methods are the same. It is extremely important that we work to reform the fast fashion industry in order to cut back on greenhouse gases, pollution in our oceans, and to instate more effective labor laws. The United States is one of the biggest contributors to fast fashion, being home to one of the biggest fashion capitals in the world, New York City. Society's pressure to keep up with constantly changing trends forces consumers to buy the newest clothes at the cheapest cost. The average American buys 68 new articles of clothing each year. Just a cotton t-shirt needs 400 gallons of water to produce, and 1,400 gallons of water to produce a pair of jeans. As consumers, we are responsible for the success of these large companies that dominate the fast fashion industry, such as Zara and H&M. In 2019, the United States was responsible for 17% of Zara's sales online via Zara.com. The situation only gets worse as new trends arise and the old trends die. The materials are the same, and there is no improvement in quality and sustainability. People choose to purchase these unsustainable clothes at the cheapest prices possible, and when they don't hold up over time, they are just another piece of trash added to the landfills, and a new shirt is produced. This is a vicious cycle that needs to be stopped immediately. Younger generations are the biggest targets for fast fashion, yet they hold the highest risk. The fast fashion industry is the second largest polluter in the world. The world has seen the early effects. However, when the younger generations grow into their adult years, they will see the true effects the fast fashion industry holds. Fast fashion doesn't only affect the US, it also has a great impact on the working condition in other countries. In particular, Asia plays a very large part in the fast fashion scene due to the large amount of companies and factories located in countries such as China and India. Factory workers in these countries face problems such as inhumane working conditions, absurdly low wages, and incredibly long hours in the factory. It is common for an average workday in the factory to last nearly 16 hours. The minimum wage in countries such as Bangladesh is as low as 32 cents an hour, forcing employees to work even more to make ends meet. Not only are they working outrageous hours, but they are doing so in inhumane, unsanitary, and dangerous conditions. In 2013, the Rana Plaza factory collapsed, killing over 1,000 people. The disaster was blamed on poor construction, too many floors, and too much heavy factory equipment.
I started the day normally like other days. I suddenly felt, am I in a war zone? I saw the bodies kind of huddle each other, holding each other to survive. No one knows their story, how they survive making these clothes for first world country. People don't want to pay more. So if you don't want to pay more, how the producer would pay more to the worker? So it's like the chain, start from the consumer and ends to the deliverer, Still a lot of people are missing. They didn't find their bodies.
The factory was more worried about producing as much product as it could, as quickly as it could, rather than worrying about its own employees' lives. Not only are these companies not worried about their employees' lives, they are not worried about how their factories are affecting the environment either. Experts from Princeton University predict that if fast fashion industry continues its extreme rate of carbon emissions, in a decade, greenhouse gases will increase by 50%. This past year, the fast fashion industry emissions surpassed the total emissions of all international flights and maritime shipping. Fast fashion factories are also known for participating in child labor, and some experts claim the conditions the children work in can be compared to modern slavery. If nothing is done to change the fast fashion factories and their effects on the globe, the problems will continue to get worse until we have no way to change what has already been done. Plastic pollution is an ongoing problem and will continue to be a problem unless something is done. One of the worst countries is Indonesia, as they produce over 6.8 million tons of plastic waste per year. Only 10% of this waste gets recycled annually. Indonesia also gets some plastic washed up on its shores through other countries. There are about 3.2 million tons of plastic that find their way to Indonesia through the production of other countries. According to the ASEAN Post, last April, Bandung, Indonesia's third largest city, witnessed the concentration of plastic waste so thick that the locals said it resembled an iceberg. Plastic has detrimental effects on the environment as it takes much longer to decompose than other alternatives. Fast fashion companies are some of the largest producers of plastic as they package most of their products in plastic bags and packages. These packages are shipped around the world to stores and homes. As they are shipped to stores, they are removed from plastic and positioned on the shelves to be sold to the consumer population. As these brands are sold to consumers in mass amounts, they are repackaged in plastic bags and taken to their homes where they are once again disposed of.
Everything is shipped on a plastic hanger. It's in a plastic bag. So there's a lot of wastage there.
According to the Pretty Planeteer, Nike is the worst known fast fashion brand for production and shipping. Nike distributed all of their products in plastic packages. They use a plastic package to transport the clothing to the consumer homes. Another form is when fast fashion mixes plastic into the textile fibers to produce their clothing. These fibers of plastic find their way into countries' oceans, as seen in Indonesia. Over time, they build up and cause the breakdown of the environment. Plastic will continue to be a global problem as long as the fast fashion industries continue to produce plastic materials in their clothing. Fast fashion not only affects the working conditions of thousands of people, but also has a negative impact on the environment we live in. By spending money on products made by fast fashion companies, you are buying into the destruction of lives and the environment. We must all work together to reduce the destructive impact the fast fashion industry produces. There are many ways we can work together to stop these negative outcomes. One such way is to buy from stores that produce articles of clothing without the plastic runoff that comes with the washing process of fast fashion. Patagonia is a great example of an ethical and sustainable clothing brand. They create clothing without negatively affecting the environment by using recycled materials as well as organic cotton. Patagonia is only one store out of many that strive to be completely self-sustainable without affecting the environment.
Target they have a new brand or newish brand called All in Motion, and it is an active and lifestyle brand, and that brand is exclusively sustainable, sustainable fabrics, sustainable dyes, and then as well as more sustainable practices in the factories. As far as I know, with swim, we haven't done a lot of sustainable fabrics. There have been discussions about getting into that. I know that Target is very eager to really get into sustainability and be more sustainable with their products. It's not easy, and it's a lot of times more expensive.
Also, by refraining from buying from fast fashion companies, you will also be helping the reduction of greenhouse gases that are released into the air. To continue, we can raise awareness about the negative effects fast fashion has on the planet and people in it. This would educate thousands of people on the repugnant effects fast fashion has. Equipped with this information, many people would consider what they are buying when they next go out for clothing.
They are fully aware that the desire from the masses is to have a more sustainable product that is available.
It is of the utmost importance that we all work together. By ourselves, we have little impact on the industry and its effects, but if we come together as a global community, there is limitless potential to how much we can change.